Have you ever walked into a home so simple, so quiet, and yet something inside you softened, like a sigh you didn't know you were holding? It wasn't the furniture. It wasn't the lighting. It was the feeling, like the house had been waiting just for you. That happened to me one cloudy afternoon. I stepped into the home of an 80-year-old Japanese woman named Norico. She lived alone in a small American suburb, but the peace inside her home felt like a warm cup of tea on a winter morning. Nothing fancy, nothing loud, just calm, quiet, and everything in its place. And that day, I discovered 7 gentle habits that help her keep her home clean, without stress, without exhaustion, and without ever feeling alone. These habits are so simple, they might just change the way you look at your own home, and maybe even the way you end your day. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed by clutter, or wish your space could feel lighter, calmer, more yours, you may want to stay. Because the story I'm about to share isn't just about tidying up. It's about finding your way back to peace. Let me take you there. A quiet door opens. The first time I met Norico, it was a gray afternoon, the kind where the clouds seemed to hang just a little lower. I was visiting a quiet neighborhood outside Seattle, and at the end of a winding street stood a modest little house with white curtains in the window. I knocked softly. A few seconds later, the door opened. Norico stood there, barefoot, smiling, wearing a simple beige sweater that matched the calm in her eyes. The moment I stepped inside, something shifted. I didn't notice it right away, not with my eyes. It was more like a feeling, a kind of hush, not from silence, but from stillness. There was no clutter, no loud colors, just softwood floors, the scent of tea leaves, and a space that felt light, not empty, not cold, just light. She gestured for me to sit, and as I settled onto a small cushion by the window, I realized something strange. My shoulders dropped, my breathing slowed, my mind, always busy, was suddenly quiet. What was it about this little home that made me feel so safe? It wasn't expensive, it wasn't new, but every corner looked cared for, like it had a purpose, like nothing inside was trying to prove anything, just to be. I looked around and asked, almost without thinking, how do you keep your home so peaceful? Norico poured tea into 2 handmade cups and said gently, it's not about keeping it clean, it's about how I live. That sentence stayed with me. I didn't know it then, but over the next few days, Norico would quietly teach me 7 small habits. Habits that had nothing to do with perfection, and everything to do with living well, no matter your age or how much energy you have. Her home wasn't just a place. It was a reflection of her mind, her memories, and her rhythm of life. And so, this is where our story begins. With a quiet door, a warm cup of tea, and one woman's way of turning ordinary moments into something almost sacred. Let me show you the first habit she taught me. Habit 1, a place for everything and everyone. The next morning, I returned to Norico's house just as the sun was starting to warm the windows. She opened the door with the same quiet smile, and once again, I felt my breath settle. As we sat in the small living room, I started to notice something. Nothing in the room was out of place. And I don't just mean tidy. I mean intentional. The remote control sat exactly in the center of the small coffee table. Her slippers were neatly pointed toward the door. A folded towel rested on a wooden shelf, aligned perfectly, not because it had to be, but because it belonged there. So I asked, do you spend a lot of time tidying every day? She laughed softly. No, she said, I just bring things back home. I didn't understand what she meant at first. Back home, she continued, everything in this house has a place to return to, just like we do when we're tired or lost. It's not tidying. It's letting things rest where they belong. That hit me deeper than I expected. I thought about my own house. The jacket always tossed over the kitchen chair. The mail pile growing on the dining table. The coffee mug I leave by the sink every night thinking, I'll wash it later. It's not that I don't care. It's just that life gets noisy. And in that noise, small things drift. Until one day, it's not just the house that's messy. It's our mind. Norico's way was different. She didn't clean up. She simply never let things get lost. She said, if we care for something, we give a home. And when we return it, we show respect. Not just to the object, but to the life we're building around it. That evening, I went home and tried something simple. Just one thing. I placed the remote back in the same spot after using it. And the next morning, it was right there waiting for me. That small moment, so ordinary, gave me a little feeling of control, a little space in my mind that wasn't searching or second-guessing. That's when I realized being organized isn't about being perfect. It's about being clear. Clear about where things go. Clear about what matters. Clear about the kind of space we want to wake up to. So if your home feels heavy or chaotic lately, don't start with a full sweep. Start with one object. One little thing that can always return to the same place. Because sometimes giving things a place to belong helps us feel like we belong. 2. Next, let me show you a habit that takes only 1 minute, but can clear a whole day's worth of stress. Habit 2, 1 minute grace. Small acts that clear the mind. Later that day, I stayed a little longer after tea. The conversation drifted gently between stories, memories, and the soft clinking of cups. At one point, Norico stood up to refill our tea. She poured carefully, returned the kettle to the stove, and then, before sitting down, she picked up a small cloth and wiped the table. Just one drop of tea. That's all. But she didn't leave it there for later. She didn't sigh or complain. She simply saw it, addressed it, and moved on like a breath. I asked, why not just clean everything at the end of the day? She smiled, because small things grow if you let them. And then she said something I'll never forget. If it takes less than a minute, I do it now, so my heart doesn't have to carry it later. That struck me in a way I didn't expect, because I do that. Maybe you do too. We walk past a dish in the sink, a sock on the floor, a mail envelope on the counter, thinking later. But later never comes all at once. It comes layer by layer until it becomes pressure we can't name. She explained, I don't like leaving things unfinished. Not because I need the house perfect, but because every unfinished thing becomes a small knot in the mind. And I like my mind to feel smooth. It made sense. How many times had I gone to bed with strange heaviness, thinking it was something big, when really it was the accumulation of tiny, silent to-dos I hadn't done? That night, back at home, I tried it. I wiped the kitchen counter as soon as I saw the crumbs. Took 30 seconds. Later, I folded the throw blanket on the couch. 15 seconds. Put one dish in the washer. 20 seconds.
This is all
and
I need.
Strangely, I felt lighter. It wasn't the house that changed. It was me. Finally giving myself permission to live without that invisible weight. Norico doesn't clean out of discipline. She cleans out of care, out of a desire to move through her home, without being reminded of what she hasn't done. And now I try to do the same. Not everything, not all at once. Just the small things that take less than a minute. Because sometimes all it takes to protect your peace is a cloth, a breath, and one small act of grace. In the next part, you'll see how Norico's home stays calm not by storing more, but by choosing less with love. Habit 3, keep what loves you back. The third day, Noriko invited me into her kitchen. It was small, maybe the size of most people's closets. But something about it
my
felt
late husband,
complete.
Hiroshi.
One pot,
He was a
onnepan,
good man.
2 bowls, 2 pairs of chopsticks, and a little towel folded neatly near the sink. I looked around, searching for the usual. Extra mugs, mismatched containers, expired sauce bottles, but there were none. So I asked, half joking, "Where's the rest of it?" She chuckled and said, "This is all I need." Then added, "I used to have more, but now I only keep what I use, what serves me today." That word, today, stayed with me because I thought of my own kitchen. The blender I used once in 2019. The chipped mug I can't throw away because it was a gift. The drawer full of things. Just things. Noriko
Does
looked
this
at
serve
me
me
gently
today?
and said, "Keeping something just because you might use it one day is like filling your heart with guests who never arrive." She wasn't being harsh. She was being kind, both to herself and to the space around her. I noticed a small picture frame on the shelf. Inside was a photo of a young man, smiling, holding a fishing rod. I asked who he was. She paused. "That's my husband," she said softly. "He passed away many years ago." I nodded, unsure what to say. She touched the frame gently and said, "I kept only this photo because it reminds me of one good
Wait,
day
just
we
5
shared.
minutes.
Not all the pain, just that moment." That's when I realized Noriko didn't just declutter her home. She decluttered her memories. She let go not out of coldness, but out of respect. She chose to keep what loved her back. That night, I went home and opened the hallway cabinet. Inside were objects I hadn't touched in years. Some carried guilt, some held obligation. Some were just noise. I didn't throw everything out, but I asked the questions Noriko had taught me. Do I use this? Does it serve me today? Does it give back more than it takes? And slowly, gently, I began to let go. Because we only have so much room in our homes and in our hearts. And maybe it's not just about choosing less, but choosing well. So if you're holding on to something, an item, a memory,
Now,
even a habit,
my day
ask
is
yourself,
complete.
does this still love me back? If the answer is no, maybe it's time to let it go and make space for peace to move in. In the next part, you'll see how just 5 quiet minutes each evening can transform not only your home, but the way you sleep and the way you begin each new day. Habit 4 and 5. 5 minutes, one clear purpose. It was early evening when I returned to Noriko's home the next day. The sky was turning soft orange, and the windows of her house glowed like lanterns. We shared a light dinner, tea, rice, a few pickled vegetables, and after we finished, I stood to gather the dishes. But she gently stopped me. "Wait," she said, smiling. "Just 5 minutes." She moved through the kitchen in quiet rhythm, not rushing, not dragging her feet. She returned the tray of snacks to the cupboard, washed 2 cups and set them on the rack, wiped the table, straightened the chairs, and folded the dish towel exactly once before hanging it to dry. I checked the clock. For minutes, 48 seconds. Then she turned to me and said, "Now my day is complete. No deep philosophy, no complicated method, just a small, gentle ritual, like closing the final page of a book you love." She told me, "I don't wait for mess to pile up. I don't wait for energy or motivation. I just do a little each night, so tomorrow begins clean." And that was it. 5 minutes. But what a difference 5 minutes can make. Because here's the truth. I used to wake up and face yesterday's chaos. Dishes in the sink, crumbs on the table, a towel still hanging on the chair. And somehow, without saying a word, My day started off heavy. But when I tried Norico's habit, just 5 minutes before bed, something shifted. I wiped the counter, washed one cup, straightened one chair. It wasn't much. But the next morning, I woke to calm. The room didn't need me to fix it. It welcomed me. And then I noticed something else. In Norico's home, each area had a clear purpose. The dining table, only for meals. No unopened mail, no books, no laptop. The reading corner, one armchair, one shelf, one light. No clutter, no confusion. I asked her why she didn't multitask her space. She looked at me, puzzled, then said, because eating is eating, reading is reading, resting is resting. Each deserves its own space, so the body and mind don't get lost. That made me think, how often had I eaten in front of TV? Opened bills at the kitchen counter? Worked from the couch where I was supposed to relax? No wonder I always felt overwhelmed. Everything was everywhere. My home wasn't too small, my boundaries were. So I tried her way. I cleared the dining table of everything that wasn't food, made the couch a no laptop zone, put my phone charger in the bedroom, and only there, and slowly, the room started speaking again. This is where you eat. This is where you read. This is where you rest. Not just furniture, but function. Not just space, but peace. So, if your home feels like it's closing in, maybe don't start with organizing. Start with clarity. Give each space a voice. And let 5 quiet minutes each evening bring it all back into harmony. Next, I'll share how Norico prepares for tomorrow, starting not in the morning, but the night before, with quiet steps that can change how you face the day ahead. Habit 6. Preparing tomorrow with kindness tonight. It was almost 9 p.m. when Norico excused herself from the conversation. I thought she was getting ready for bed, but instead, she began her quiet ritual, not with urgency, but with care. She walked into her bedroom and laid out a simple outfit for the next day. A soft blouse, neatly folded pants, and a handkerchief placed gently on the chair. Then she returned to the kitchen, checked that the stove was off, wiped the counter one last time, locked the back door, and placed a glass of water by her bedside. She moved with such calm intention, as if each step wasn't just about preparing things, but about preparing herself. I asked, "Do you do this every night?" She nodded. "Morning is when the mind is most confused," she said. So I cleared her path the night before. I stood there, quietly watching her finish, and I felt something unexpected, a little pang of embarrassment, because I know how my mornings usually go. Digging through the closet, looking for socks, keys nowhere to be found. Half dressed, half awake, already late, already overwhelmed. It's not just about time. It's about tone. And most days, I began mine in chaos. Norico wasn't rushing, and she wasn't overprepared either. She was simply intentional. And in that intention, I saw something I hadn't expected. Kindness, not to others, but to herself. She didn't prepare for tomorrow because she was afraid of it. She prepared because she respected it. And she knew her future self deserved a soft landing, not a scramble. So that night, back at my own place, I tried just one thing. I set out the shirt eyed with the next day.
The cup.
Then I filled a small glass of water and placed it beside my bed. It took 3 minutes. But when I woke up, something felt lighter. I didn't ask, "What do I wear?" I didn't search for socks. I just started the day gently with ease, and that became a habit. Each night, just a few minutes to soften the edges of the morning, because aging doesn't mean giving up control. It just means we have to protect it more intentionally. So if you wake up feeling behind before you even begin, start tonight. Lay out your clothes. Tidy one corner. Pour a glass of water for the person you'll be in the morning.
Learned
That person deserves your help.
to appreciate.
And in the final habit I'll share, you'll see how Norico's deepest form of care isn't just in what she does, but in the way she treats even the smallest object in her home. Habit 7. Be grateful for every item. Our last evening together was quiet. The sun had long set, and the room was lit only by a soft lamp in the corner. We had just finished a final cup of tea, green, earthy, slightly bitter. I offered to wash the dishes, but Noriko shook her head gently. "This one is mine," she smiled.
Thank you.
I watched her at the sink. She washed the cup carefully, dried it with a small towel, and then did something I had never seen before. She placed the cup back on the shelf, pressed her hands together, and bowed her head slightly. It was a moment, so small it could have passed unnoticed. But I asked softly, "Were you praying?" She looked at me and said, "No, I was thanking the cup." That answer stopped me. She continued, "Everything we use carries part of our life. This cup held warmth for me today, so I thank before I let it rest." And in that sentence, I saw the heart of her home. It wasn't tidy because she feared mess. It was tidy because she honored what she had. She didn't own much, but everything she did own, she loved, cared for, and treated as worthy. I thought about my own house again. The piles of things I bought but never used. The forgotten objects stuffed in drawers. Kept not out of
One
joy,
small habit.
but out of guilt. Out of fear I might need them later. Out of habit, but never out of gratitude. Noriko lived differently. She said, "I once lived with very little. So I learned to appreciate, not hoard, to keep only what I use, and I always thank those things for walking with me." And that's when I realized her peace didn't come from minimalism. It came from relationship, even with objects, even with cups and chairs and cloths. Because when you live with gratitude, you don't just keep things clean, you keep them meaningful. And that meaning becomes warm. It fills the room like a quiet light. It wraps around you, not to impress, but to comfort. That's why her home, though small, never felt empty. Why her life, though simple, never felt lacking. It was full, not of things, but of love, of thanks,
An invitation,
of presence.
intuition.
So, if you're looking to make your home feel lighter, maybe start not by throwing things out, but by noticing what you already have. And before you put that cup down tonight, try whispering
Life
a thank
that's
you.
still unfolding,
Not because the cup needs
regardless
it,
of age.
but because you do. In the final part, I'll share what I brought home, not in my hands, but in my heart,
A
and how
home
you,
that
too,
feels
can begin this
like
gentle
love.
journey with just one small step. The peaceful revolution. What I brought home from Noriko's house. When I left Noriko's home for the last time, she stood at the door with her hands folded, smiling like always. The wind was cool. The sky had that dusky blue that only autumn gives. I didn't carry anything with me. No gifts, no souvenirs. But in my heart, I held something rare. A quiet shift. At first glance, Noriko's life seemed uneventful. No big events, no drama, no grandeur. But the more time I spent with her, the more I realized this woman was leading a revolution. A gentle, quiet revolution of peace. Not the kind that demands banners or speeches, but the kind that changes lives quietly, one folded towel at a time, one deep breath, one cup of tea placed gently back on the shelf. And I wondered, what if that's all it takes to begin again? Not a new house, not a new year, not a perfect plan, just one small habit. One corner of your life returned to calm, one drawer cleared with care, One moment of presence at the end of the day. Since coming home, I've tried, not perfectly, not every day, but enough to feel the difference. I've placed a remote in the same spot, prepare my clothes at night,
30 seconds.
wipe the table after tea, and slowly my home began to soften, not just in appearance, but in atmosphere, in tone. It started to breathe with me. So now I pass this story to you, not as instruction, not as pressure, but as an invitation. An invitation to begin with one thing, just one, because when we bring peace to our homes, we bring peace to ourselves. And when we care for the small, we honor the life that's still unfolding, no matter our age, our energy, or our circumstances. If something in this
place for
story touched
everything.
you, I'd love to know. Leave a comment below. Tell me which habit you might try. Because even though we walk different paths, I believe we all long for the same thing. A home that feels like love. A life that feels like ours again. Thank you for being here. Your presence is a gift. And wherever you are, tonight, tomorrow, or many years from now, I hope your cup is warm, your space is quiet, and your heart is at home.